Good evening, everyone. Jesus said to them, "Did you never read in the scriptures? The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. By the Lord has this been done, and it is wonderful in our eyes. Therefore, I say to you, the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to a people that will produce its fruit." Matthew 21, verses 42 to 43. The most amazing thing that has ever happened in this world is the death of the Son of God. It is amazing for many reasons. It's amazing that God the Father allowed His Son to be brutally murdered by evil men. It's amazing that the Son did not call upon the myriad of angels to stop His persecution. It's amazing that Jesus spoke words of forgiveness from the cross as His own mother looked on. But perhaps the most amazing aspect about this event is that from it, the gift of eternal salvation was made possible. Only God in His inconceivable wisdom and power could bring forth the greatest good from the greatest evil. Nothing could be more evil than the brutal murder of the Son of God. And nothing could be more glorious than the transformation of that heinous act into the definitive act of salvation for the human race. Jesus was the stone rejected by the builders, but that rejected stone was used by the Father to become the cornerstone of the new life of grace to which we are called. The passage quoted above concludes the parable of the tenants, which outlines salvation history. The Father is the owner of the vineyard, which represents the people of Israel. The tenants were the religious leaders of the time who abused the prophets who were sent to gather the fruit of God's kingdom. The Son is the Son of God, whom the leaders of Israel killed under the misconception that killing Jesus would guarantee the continuation of their power. However, the true result was that they suffered their own destruction, and the murdered Son became the cornerstone of the church and the source of new life. Today, you are among the people to whom God has given charge of His new vineyard, the church. Of you, God demands an abundance of good fruit. Though the church is entrusted to the Pope, bishops, and priests in a special way, it is also entrusted to the laity, each in their own way. Everyone must bear fruit for the kingdom of God, and everyone will be held accountable for their stewardship. Sometimes we can fall into the trap of thinking that we have little to offer. If we were the Pope, a bishop, or even a priest, we could do great things for God. And though that is true, it is no less true that everyone is capable of bearing an abundance of good fruit for the kingdom. And God expects that of us all. If you doubt that fact in any way, recall again the undeniable fact that the Father used the greatest evil ever committed to bring forth the greatest good ever known. If God can bring forth new life from death, then He can certainly use you in powerful ways. In fact, the weaker you are and the more insignificant you feel, the more God can use you to produce good fruit. Reflect today upon the glorious fact that if God can use His own suffering and death to bring salvation to the world, He can also use you in ways that are beyond your imagination. You might not become a famous evangelist. You might not succeed in some well-recognized ministry. In fact, you might even encounter much suffering, persecution, and hardship throughout life. Regardless of your own life situation, God desires to use you for the great things and to bear an abundance of good fruit for His kingdom. Commit to that mission and allow God to use you as a cornerstone of His grace in this world. And God bless you.
The parable for this 27th Sunday in Ordinary Time, brothers and sisters, is the parable of the vineyard, looking backward and forward. Summing up, when we look backward on the story of redemption. The leaders of Israel were given care of the vineyard, but they didn't produce for the Lord. They rejected the Son who came to help them produce a yield for the Lord. The vineyard was then given to new keepers. Now in Jesus Christ, the Gentiles, the new agents. God's purpose, blessing, and grace in our world. That is us. This parable also looks forward with a meaning for us. The vineyard is a world, our society. It is rich in abundant blessing. What are we doing with the vineyard? How are we caring for it? Within this vineyard is the most precious gift of all, the gift of the human life. Do we reverence life? Of course, we reverence life when we see a beautiful baby, a young married couple, a person at the height of his or her powers. If something should ever happen to such individuals, all the medical resources of this society would be gathered and mobilized to help save a life. Now, the parable builds on the image of the vineyard already used in the Old Testament as a symbol for God's chosen people. The vineyard of the Lord is the house of Israel. We are not only caretakers of the vineyard that belongs to God. We ourselves are the vineyard. So in the caring for ourselves and for our brothers and sisters, we are serving the Lord, working in His vineyard, and so that it will produce an abundant harvest. Pleasant Sunday, brothers and sisters.